Hello and welcome to our information presentation for the families that were invited to be part of the Be First program at Holy Ghost Prep. My name is Ryan Abramson. I'm the Director of Admissions, and I will be walking you through our presentation tonight so that we can learn a little bit about how the Be First program works and a little bit about how you can go about applying to Holy Ghost Prep early during the summer. So let's begin. The Be First program is a program that we started 3 years ago at Holy Ghost that allows families to go through the admissions process during the summer. The students that are part of the Be First program include students that scored above an 88 on the 7th grade practice test in February, and students who are legacy applicants, those students who have either brothers that attended or attend Holy Ghost Prep or their fathers graduated from Holy Ghost Prep in the past. The early decision program allows you to complete all of the admission steps that we're going to go over in just a second during the summer. So instead of participating or completing all of those steps during the fall semester, you actually have the opportunity to complete all of the admissions process, including earning scholarships during the summer. And that is a great way for you to be settled with your high school decision process, your high school decision making, before your 8th grade year even begins. So students that participate in the Be First program will complete all of the normal steps of the admissions process during July and August of this summer. All of our acceptance decisions for families that are participating in the program will be done in August of 2020. We also know that many of those families are interested in learning about academic scholarships that we offer at Holy Ghost. And all of those students that scored a 97, 98, or 99 on the entrance exam will have the opportunity this summer to either get a presidential scholarship, a trustee scholarship, or a Lieberman scholarship. Our trustee scholarships are half tuition scholarships. Our presidential scholarships are $8,000, and our Lieberman scholarships are $2,500. So what are the application steps as part of the Be First program? These are the same steps that students would have followed if they apply to Holy Ghost in September, October, November, December. We're just giving the Be First families the chance to complete these over the summer. So instead of being part of all of the craziness and all of the application process, if you know that Holy Ghost Prep is where you want to be, you're going to have the chance to complete that during the summer. So the first part of that is you have to submit an online application. You can do that by visiting thinkghost.org and completing the application for an 8th grader. The second is to submit a teacher recommendation request. You do this as part of the online application that you complete during the application process. You essentially create a portal and you log in, and then you complete the rest of these steps. It's important to think about completing the teacher recommendation part of the application soon, as a lot of teachers, as the school year wraps up and the summer begins, may or may not be checking their email frequently and may or may not see your request for a teacher recommendation. One of the most common questions that families ask us is, how many teacher recommendations do I need? The answer is that almost all applicants submit 2. You only have to submit 1, but many students submit 2. Why is it that they do that? Well, there's 2 reasons. Sometimes there's a teacher or 2 that know you really, really well, and you don't want to have to choose between which one that you're going to select. In some cases, you might also know someone, a coach, a former student at Holy Ghost Prep, someone that you know that went to school here, that you want to submit a letter of recommendation on your behalf. And we encourage you to do that. And so that's why a lot of families submit more than 1. In some cases, you may go to a school where there's only 1 teacher for each grade. In that situation, one of the things that might happen is there is only 1 teacher you can ask for a recommendation. And so that's fine to submit just 1 teacher recommendation as well. As part of that online application portal, you'll also be able to complete the online essay. The essay question is listed in the form. You fill it out on the website in the portal, and you submit that to us electronically. These last 2 steps, though, probably require a little bit of extra explanation because of the last 14 weeks. So the first part is you have to send us your final 7th grade transcript. Depending on where you go to grade school, That can mean a lot of different things these days. And I want to assure everybody that we understand and know that. Some schools have chosen to go to a pass-fail system, and so they don't have grades at the end of the year. Some schools have selected to go with a program where they simply say, you've completed the course. There's no grade at all, and we understand that. Some schools have chosen to continue with the more traditional grading scale. In that case, then we'll see those as well. Everyone should know that the last 14 weeks have been insane, crazy, have had all sorts of things that have happened. And just when you think you figured it all out, it changes again. That's probably the case for many people when it comes to their transcript. And so we are expecting to see a variety of different things in the way that grades are submitted for the end of the year. And we understand that. We also know that it might be difficult for some schools to be able to send out those transcripts based on the staff that they have in their school office. And so we want families to know that copies of their 6th and 7th grade final report cards are also acceptable forms of sending us your final grades. The other part of that is the interview. As you all know, for the last 14 weeks, many of us have been home, but over the last several days, the rules about who can be out and about keep changing. In fact, today, one of the most popular questions is, what are we doing with our on-campus programs for the summer? Because the state has now allowed both in-person learning to start July 1st, and today released rules for school sports, which has changed all of the things that we were planning yesterday for the summer. So the other part of that is scheduling the interview. Interviews may be conducted in person, and they may be conducted online. It's a decision that we're going to have to make as we get closer to the time that we're offering interviews based on what the rules are at the time. Our hope, though, of course, is that families can come and be here on campus. So when do you do this? If you saw the email that we sent out earlier, you know that we'd like you to submit the online application by June 30th. The reason is that we want to know how many families will be working through the early decision process during the summer. So we'd ask that you submit the online application, you've sent out your teacher recommendation, and you've completed the essay by June 30th. By completing all of those steps by June 30th, we know how many families that we have to think about having come in for interviews. And this will give us the most flexibility to be able to plan that in such a way that may allow us to do them on campus with the correct social distancing. Having said that, we also know that school's a little crazy these days, and it may not be possible for every family to be able to complete all of those steps by June 30th. But if you've completed the online application, that will allow us to continue the conversation to make sure that we're following the steps together to make sure that everyone is on board and on time in terms of following the Be First process. The most important thing to understand is that there has to be flexibility here over the next couple of weeks, and we want families to know that we're not hard and fast in a rule for the next couple of months as we work through the Be First program. We understand that the world is changing literally every minute, and we want to make sure that we're flexible. And so while we have put dates on here to help us begin to identify timelines so that we can work through the process in an efficient way, we also recognize that some of that has to be thought about in the moment, depending on what might be going on in an individual family's life related to the COVID-19 pandemic. The last part of that then is that we hope to be able to do interviews in late July. And again, those interviews may be in person or they may be virtually. The whole process we anticipate being wrapped up sometime in August so that families will know whether or not they've been accepted to Holy Ghost Prep. So what happens if you are accepted to Holy Ghost Prep? Well, the first thing to know is that you will need to submit a $1,000 deposit and an enrollment contract. You will be invited to several special events during the 2020 and 2021 school year. You'll have the opportunity to be recognized at our first Firebirds reception in January, and you'll also be part of our scholarship ceremony during our scholarship recipients will be part of our scholarship ceremony in March. We had 3 great events last year, in-person events for our Be First families, and we're super excited to be able to do those again, and we're very hopeful that we'll be able to do them. They included a party for our parents. It included a very special middle school day where all of our Be First students were able to come in and spend an actual school day. We gave them their own schedule and we'll be able to spend the day here at Holy Ghost Prep as if they were students for the day. No shadow day, nobody showing you around. you got to do it all on your own. And then we also had an opportunities for those families to participate in our summer camps in a special way last year as well. I skipped a slide, so I'm going to go back so you know for sure this is absolutely live what we're doing right now. So what is the path for me? How do I make this work? So the first one is you want to come to school here. There's no question what you want. You want to be a student at Holy Ghost Prep. You've been accepted. So the first path is you send us your $1,000 deposit. You are not applying for financial aid. You are not going to take the entrance exam again. You're coming to Holy Ghost Prep no matter what. We love those families, and we hope that many of you are one of those families. But we recognize that some families have other questions as well. And so you're wondering, how do you get a scholarship, or what about applying for financial aid? So let's talk through those two things. So the first thing is you're competing for an additional scholarship. So you're one of our families that is interested in coming to school here. You've gone through the Be First program. You've sent in your $1,000 deposit, and you are interested in Holy Ghost, but you want to get a scholarship. And so maybe you're one of our Be First legacy students that did not get a 97, 98, or 99 on the entrance exam. And so you've decided you're going to take the entrance exam again in November to see if you can get a 97, 98, or 99 on the entrance exam and be considered for a scholarship. You may or may not do that. And if you do, you'll find out in December of 2020. If you go through the process of Be First, you are accepted and you register to come to Holy Ghost and you've paid your $1,000 deposit. But in December, you find out you were not awarded a scholarship, or you are not awarded the scholarship that you were hoping for. You are able to request your $1,000 back, and you are not held accountable for the rest of the tuition. A lot of families ask us all the time, well, if I give you $1,000 and I register to Holy Ghost in August, and then you tell me I didn't get a scholarship, I don't want to lose that money. We're telling you that we are not going to hold your money simply because you had registered as a Be First family. If you are not awarded a scholarship, then you do get that money back. The same is true then if you are a family that went through the Be First process, you decided that you really wanted to come to school here, and you registered and submitted your $1,000 deposit. If you're in a situation where you were awarded a scholarship during Be First, and then you are given an additional scholarship during the regular admissions process, then you should also know that it is not the kind of, you don't get to stack those scholarships. So let me explain. So let's say that during the summer of this summer, you are completed through the Be First program. You are awarded a presidential scholarship, but you really want a trustee scholarship. So you're awarded an $8,000 scholarship, but you want a half tuition scholarship. You would take the entrance exam again in November. Perhaps you scored higher, and now you are being offered a trustee scholarship. So you're getting a half tuition scholarship. You would not get both. You would get the trustee scholarship would replace the original scholarship that you had. Some families also talk about applying for financial aid. You may be in a situation where you are applying for both another scholarship and financial aid. Again, we'd ask you to complete the process over the summer. You send in your $1,000 deposit and your enrollment contract. And during the fall of 2020, we go through the financial aid program. You might be saying to yourself, why are you just not telling me what financial aid I'm going to get in August? What are you waiting for? The program that we use for financial aid does not release its new year process, its new application, until sometime in September or October. What we will do is expedite that process for our Be First families. As soon as applying for financial aid is available to us, we'll make it available to you. And then we'll be able to provide those answers as quickly as possible. So if you go through the Be First program, you're accepted and you've registered, and you're either not awarded financial aid or you're not awarded a financial aid amount that is large enough, once again, we're going to give you that $1,000 back. The reason for asking for the deposit of $1,000 along with the enrollment contract is so that we can focus our attention and our available resources on the families that really want to come to school here. And one of the ways that we can do that is by making sure that we're focusing that on the parents that have made that commitment to us. So what are the benefits of the Be First program? Well, one of the clearest benefits, obviously, is the fact that you're done. You can go through this entire process over the summer and not worry about it at all next year. And if there's anything that I think any of us would like to do right now, it is not worry about anything. And so what a great way to be able to spend the summer, be done with the high school admission process, and know you're coming to school here. The second part is you can be accepted to Holy Ghost Prep with a scholarship. Some of our previous Be First students didn't have that option. In the very first year that we offered this program, we actually didn't award scholarships over the summer. We started doing that with our current incoming freshman class so that they would be able to find out about scholarships over the summer. You also have a continued opportunity for other scholarships and financial aid. So by participating in the Be First program, you don't lessen or eliminate the opportunity to get additional scholarships or financial aid. You also get to be invited to those special events that we have during the school year that are restricted to that small group. Oddly enough, one of the advantages of having a small group as we look at our current lives is that it may provide some new opportunities for us to provide small group activities because we'll be able to maintain social distancing. And so we already have some pretty neat ideas that we hope to unveil in September for Be First families. And last, of course, is that all of those families have the opportunity to get recognition at different events during the year. So that is a ton of stuff. And we know that that is an enormous amount of information. I just talked nonstop for 16 minutes about all of the benefits of the Be First program. But we did ask some families for some questions. And you also, if you are live with us tonight, you can submit questions in the comment section, and they're going to pop up on my screen, and I would be able to answer them as well. But let's answer some of those questions that have been asked for us already. So we're going to click off like that and bring me full screen. And let me answer some of the questions that people have submitted to us already. So the first one was, my son is considering other schools for entry. If he's accepted to Holy Ghost Prep through this program, how long can we delay the final decision? Well, that's a great question. And what we would say is that we don't want you to delay that decision. We want you to just come to Holy Ghost Prep. But we also understand that there are other schools out there. And so what I would say to answer that question is this. Our feeling is that if you're going to go through this program, this is your first choice. And that we are not going to provide an extended deadline after August or September to register to come to school here. So for example, let's say that you are a student that got a 99 on our entrance exam, our 7th grade practice test. You are going through the Be First program. You've been awarded a Trustee Scholarship in August, and you have sent us your registration deposit and your contract. Well, we expect that you're coming to school here. What we won't do is say, well, we've given you a Trustee Scholarship, and now you have other choices that you'd like to consider. We're going to allow that decision to go off until December. So my answer to that question would be, if you are accepted as part of the Be First program, we still expect you to register by the deadline that we provide, which in this case will probably be late August or early September, depending on our ability to host things on campus or off. The second question was, what is the maximum amount of scholarship that can be awarded to one student? The largest single scholarship that we award in terms of an academic scholarship is our Trustee Scholarship. Those are half tuition scholarships. Our tuition next year will be $23,700, and those scholarships would be half of that amount for our incoming freshman families. Tuition is not locked every year, so our tuition does go up somewhere between 3 and 7% each year. But it's also important to note that about 60% of the families who go to school here are receiving some kind of tuition discount, either in the form of a merit scholarship or need-based financial aid. So the question might become, if you were standing in front of me, you're probably raising your hand saying, well, how much could I get total? The answer is there is no finite amount of money that we might offer a family for financial aid and scholarships. Let me give you a great example of what's going on right now. So we were completed with our financial aid process for all of our returning families in March, and then COVID-19 hit. And families went from a certain financial situation on Monday, and literally by Friday of the same week, we're in a completely different situation. And those families were in need. And so what we did was we started a program called Firebirds for Firebirds, where families could donate to help other families. And we've raised a significant amount of money, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, towards that program to help our current families that need one-time assistance as part of the COVID-19 crisis. So what final amount a family might be awarded in financial aid and scholarships is always depending on the individual situation and what that family may or may not need in a given year. Families do have to reapply for financial aid each year, though. Next question we got was, do you foresee students having the ability to shadow in the fall if school opens normally? That is my favorite question, because if I could answer it, I would be the wealthiest person on the planet. It would mean that I was the solver of COVID-19. The answer is that we really hope to be able to host students on campus in a variety of different ways in the fall. And what we've done is we have 4 or 5 different plans to be able to figure out ways to do everything from shadow days to open house, where we'd be able to fulfill the rules of social distancing if they were still in place, and be able to do something that was normal for those students as well. And so my answer is that I don't know what shadow days are going to look like, but what I do know is that we have plans in place to be able to come up with some kind of alternative to allow students to spend time. I know that many families, when they talk about Holy Ghost Prep, talk about the difference. There's probably a lot more value to the fact that this is a small school than there's ever been in terms of our ability to create a school year plan for September that already has small classes and the ability to more easily social distance. And so I'm hopeful that we'll be able to have a good plan for those students to be able to come and shadow in the fall. Due to our strange spring, will you still require standardized testing for these applicants, these students, or will you accept the 7th grade pre-test in addition to their application? So for the students that are part of the BFIRST program, whether you're a BFIRST legacy student or you're a BFIRST student that scored well on the 7th grade practice test, your 7th grade test score is what got you into this program. For a student that's going to be considered for a scholarship, they had to get a 97, 98, or 99 on the 7th grade practice test to be considered for one of our academic scholarships. So those students already are done with the entrance exam if they choose to be done with the entrance exam. You may be a BFIRST student who got an 88 on the entrance exam or the 7th grade practice test, or you might be a BFIRST student that got a 90 on the 7th grade practice test, but you want a presidential scholarship or a trustee scholarship. In that situation, you would be able to take the entrance exam again in November to be able to compete for one of those scholarships. Now, if you are a forward-thinking person like me, you're saying to yourself, well, what if we can't take standardized tests? How will you ever know? It's a great question. And one of the things that I am investigating, that private school, independent school people all over are investigating, is there a way for us to have at-home standardized testing? So that's a possibility that's out there. But I'm pretty confident that we're going to be able to have some setup in place to be able to do entrance exams on campus in November. Don't hold me to that, but I'm pretty confident that that's what we're going to do. The last question that someone asked that I did not make a cool little graphic for is, what's going on at Holy Ghost Prep? Why is it that my son should go to school there? Isn't that the most important question? Why should we do the BFIRST program? Well, the answer to me is all sorts of cool things are going on. While there is incredible uncertainty and there are all sorts of new news that comes out day to day, I can tell you that one thing that has been consistent since March 16th, when we started with our stay-at-home orders, is that Holy Ghost Prep has been searching for and finding amazing opportunities in the face of this challenge. Let me give you an example of one of the things that we're doing this summer. In an effort to be best prepared for whatever situation happens in September, we have created an entire summer program for our current students so that they can take classes for credit during this summer, so that if there are disruptions in September, those students are already way ahead and we can more easily adapt to a potential online or hybrid online learning environment. We have over 60 students who have signed up for one of 3 sessions that we have this summer that's starting next week. And overall, we have almost half of our students, 200 students, that have signed up for some online course this summer during one of our 3 online sessions where they're going to be able to take classes over the summer for credit that will appear on their transcript. One thing that I keep hearing over and over again is that schools have not been providing the kind of learning environment that they were when we were in person, that schools kind of went into the COVID-19 and stop providing content or learning to students. We have taken a completely different approach and tried to find ways to continue to provide outstanding content from our expert teachers to all of our students through the spring semester, now through the summer, and again into the next school year, with the idea that school shouldn't stop simply because there's a pandemic. In fact, there's probably never a more important time for us to be good educators and for us to be a leader in schools than right now. And so we have an incredible program that we're putting together. You're going to learn all about that soon for our current students to be able to take classes over the summer. We also have about 20 students that have signed up for our online summer enrichment. Those are students that are entering 7th grade or entering 8th grade. As you know, you've received that information over the last several weeks about our online learning environment for our summer enrichment program. And of course, as soon as we sent that information out, we found out that Pennsylvania schools are allowed to be doing in-person instruction on July 1st. So the question came up of whether or not we were going to provide in-person instruction in July. The answer is we're hoping to be able to do some in-person things during the month of July. There is an entire list of things that schools have to have in place and posted on their website before you can let people start to do that. Things like cleaning, things like social distancing, things about way you're going to separate students in classrooms and the rules you're going to follow. And we're in the process of putting all of that in place so that by July, we're hoping to be in a position where we can do on-campus instruction in some way for prospective families as well. So those are all of the questions that were submitted to us before this. And I hope that this live environment has helped you learn a little bit more about the Be First program. And I hope that if you have additional questions, you'll continue to reach out to us and ask. The most important thing is we want you to know that Holy Ghost Prep is a really awesome place, and we want you to be a part of it. We're giving you this opportunity this summer because we think it's going to be a great way for you to say, I want to be done with this. I just want to move on. I want to know where I'm going to high school and then go for it. And we want to make sure that that opportunity exists for you here at Holy Ghost Prep. But we also know that you might have more questions, and we know that you might be in a situation where you have something very specific about your situation that you want to know more about. And you can always let us know what those questions are, and we'd be happy to answer them for you. How do you do that? It's very simple. You send an email to admissions with an S at holyghostprep.org, admissions at holyghostprep.org. And that message goes to our entire admissions team to make sure that someone gets back to you as quickly as possible. So that is all of our information for tonight. And we hope that that was helpful for you. And we hope to hear from many of you soon. And always remember to think Ghost.